Google Gemini is a powerful AI assistant that helps you work smarter across your daily tasks. This course explores the Gemini Web App for Google Workspace users and its key features. First, you'll see how to get started with the app, choose the right AI model for the task, and chat with Gemini. You'll discover how to manage your prompts, responses, and conversation history. The course also introduces you to specialized tools and models, including deep research to create comprehensive reports on any subject, and Nano Banana, which lets you create and edit images with a simple prompt.
AI for Google Workspace is a powerful artificial intelligence tool that's built into Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Meet, and more. In this course, discover the AI-powered Gemini Web App, a powerful chatbot to ask questions and brainstorm ideas. Next, explore how to use Gemini in Gmail to suggest replies, write drafts, and summarize email threads. Learn how Gemini in Google Docs can easily write, refine, and proofread text. See how Gemini can generate new slides and create images in Google Slides. Finally, discover how Gemini in Google Meet can enhance your video and audio quality.
Google Gemini is an AI assistant that helps you work smarter across daily tasks. In this video, you'll see how to access the Gemini app and familiarize yourself with its interface. Gemini is available to all Google Workspace business and enterprise account holders, though features available may vary according to account type. There are a couple of ways to access it. Here I've got Google open in Chrome, and here I'm going to open the Google Apps menu. You'll find Gemini listed here among your Google apps. I'll click outside the menu to close it. To access Gemini from any site or browser, you can navigate to gemini.google.com in your browser's address bar. This opens the Gemini chat screen, where you can start a conversation with Gemini. Let's take a look at the left navigation menu. You can collapse this menu by clicking the menu icon. Click again to expand it. At the top, you have the option to start a new chat. We've got the My Stuff folder, which contains images, videos, and other files you've created in Gemini. You'll even see thumbnails of recently created media there. Below that is Gems. I'll click there to go to the Gem Manager. Here you can find and create custom chatbots designed for specific uses. Gems will be covered in depth in another course. I'll click New Chat to return to the chat screen. Scrolling further down, you can see the list of all chats so you can easily return to previous conversations. Towards the bottom, Activity also provides access to your chat history and any other activity you've performed in the Gemini app. Settings and Help lets you configure your preferences, which we'll explore in a moment. And at the very bottom, you'll see your current location displayed based on your IP address. Now let's look at some basic settings you can configure. Click Settings and Help to open the drop-down. From this menu, you have several options. Apps directs you to your connected applications. Scheduled Actions lets you automate recurring Gemini tasks. Theme allows you to change the appearance of the interface. Depending on your plan, you may have the option to upgrade to Google AI Ultra. Of course, subscription costs apply. And finally, Notebook LM opens Google's AI-powered research tool in a new tab. I'll go ahead and change the theme. Mousing over Theme, you can choose from System, which follows your device settings, Light, or Dark. Let's switch to Dark mode. This darker appearance reduces strain on the eyes. Now let's try Light mode. I'll switch back to System, which uses light or dark depending on your device's settings. Now I'll click outside to close this menu. Now you've seen how to navigate to the Gemini Web App and explore its interface. With Google Gemini, you can accomplish a huge variety of tasks starting with a simple prompt. In this tutorial, you'll see how to choose the model that best suits your needs, chat with Gemini, and attach files for analysis. I've got Gemini open in Chrome. Let's start by exploring the chat interface. At the center of the screen, you'll see the text box where you enter your prompts. Below the text box, you'll notice several suggestions for different ways you can use Gemini, such as create image, help me learn, or boost my day. You can click any of these to get some suggested prompts, and in some cases it will select a dedicated agent. For instance, if we click create image, the image creation agent Nano Banana is automatically selected in the chat box, and you'll find a list of image creation prompts to try. I'll click the X next to the agent name to deselect it. Now let's take a look at the options along the bottom of the text box. You can click the Tools button to choose specialized agents like Deep Research for in-depth analysis or VO 3.1 to create videos. I'll click outside to close this menu. On the left, you have the Add Files button, which lets you upload documents and images for Gemini to analyze. In the bottom right corner, you'll find the Model Picker, which lets you select which AI model powers your conversation. And finally, there's the Microphone button for voice input. This allows you to speak your prompts instead of typing them. Gemini offers different AI models with varying capabilities. The models available to you may depend on your subscription level and other factors. I'm using a Workspace Enterprise Plus account for this demonstration. By default, Gemini uses the fast model, which for me is Gemini 3 Flash. This model is optimized for quick responses and everyday tasks. Let's test it out. I'll type a simple prompt. Give me 5 ideas for team building activities. Then I'll click Submit. As you can see, the fast model responds quickly with helpful suggestions. We can scroll down to see the full response. Now let's explore the other available models. I'll click on the model selector to open the dropdown. Here you can see the Gemini 3 model options. Besides fast, I've got thinking, which is Gemini 3 Flash with extended reasoning, ideal for complex problems that require step-by-step analysis. And Pro is Gemini 3 Pro, which excels at advanced math and coding tasks. Let's try the thinking model. I'll select it. In the chat box, I'll enter a more complex prompt that benefits from deeper reasoning. Choose an activity for a budget of $1,000 for a team of 10 engineers. I'll press Enter. Notice that with the thinking model, you can see a reasoning step at the top of the response. This shows that Gemini is working through the problem methodically. I'll expand this to see the full reasoning process. Here you can see all the steps that Gemini took to arrive at its recommendation, including prioritizing team activities and considering further options. We can click here again to collapse these options and scroll down to see the detailed response. Now I'll reopen the model selector and switch back to fast. When you want to change the topic of conversation, it's best to start a new chat. Just click the New Chat button in the menu on the left to start afresh. Finally, Gemini can analyze files including images, PDFs, and a wide range of document types. This makes it easy to extract information or get insights from your existing files. I'll click the Add Files button in the chat box to see the available options. From here, you can upload files directly from your device, add files from Google Drive, or import code. I'll select Upload Files to choose a document from my computer. The file browser opens in my desktop. Here I'll select my travel itinerary PDF, then click Open. The file is now attached to my message. I'll add a prompt describing what I want Gemini to do with it. I'll type, pull out all the confirmation numbers and flight times into a table. Now I'll press Enter to submit. Gemini analyzes the uploaded document and extracts the requested information, presenting it in a clear, organized table format. This is a great way to quickly pull specific details from lengthy documents. Now you've seen how to chat with Gemini for Google Workspace. To start chatting with Gemini, you have several options for refining your prompts and working with the responses that you receive. In this video, you'll learn how to edit prompts, regenerate responses, listen to your response read aloud, and verify information using Google Search. Let's start by looking at how you can work with prompts that you've already submitted. I've got an ongoing chat open in Gemini. When you hover over a prompt in the chat, you'll see the option to copy it to use it elsewhere. If it's the most recent prompt in the chat, you'll also find the option to edit it in case you want to make any refinements. So let's try making a change. I'll click on Edit Prompt. The original prompt reads, "Summarize the key financial performance indicators used in quarterly earnings reports." I can now modify the text to adjust my request. I'll say, "Include a summary table." Once I'm satisfied with my changes, I'll click Update to submit the prompt. Gemini now generates a new response based on my updated prompt. Now let's take a look at the response options. I'll scroll down to the bottom of the response. Below each response, you'll find several options for providing feedback and working with the output. The thumbs up and thumbs down buttons let you rate the response as good or bad. This feedback helps improve Gemini over time. You can also click Redo to generate an alternative version, or copy the response to your clipboard. Let's try Redo. When I click Redo, this opens a menu with 3 options. I can make the response longer, shorter, or I can try again. I'll select Try Again. Gemini reiterates its response. Scrolling back down to the bottom of the response, notice the arrow buttons that appear. These let you navigate between the different versions of the response. I'll click the left arrow to view the previous version, that is draft 1 of 2, and I can click the right arrow to view the next version, draft 2 of 2. This makes it easy to compare responses and choose the one that works best. Additional options are available under the More Options menu. I'll click the 3 dots to open it. Here you'll find Double Check Response, which verifies information using Google Search, Listen, which reads the response aloud, Export to Docs and Draft in Gmail let you use the response in other Workspace apps, and Report Legal Issue is in case you need to flag content you suspect may violate the law. Let's try out the Listen feature. I'll click Listen.
Quarterly earnings reports, 10QS, are the primary way public companies communicate their financial health to the...
Gemini just read the response aloud, and I've just clicked the pause button to halt playback. This same button lets you resume playback so you can hear the rest of the response. Another powerful feature is Double Check Response, which you can use to fact check anything Gemini tells you against a Google search. I'll again click on More, and this time I'll choose Double Check Response. The status of the check displays below the response. I can see the check is completed. In the response itself, Gemini highlights portions of the response with color coding to indicate how well the information aligns with Google search results. To understand what the colors mean, click the link Understand Results below the response. The guide that opens explains that green highlighting indicates that Google search found similar content, suggesting the information is likely accurate. Pink highlighting or red highlighting means Google search found different content or no relevant content, so you may want to verify that information independently. And text without highlighting either couldn't be evaluated because there's not enough information or because it wasn't intended to be factual. I'll click outside to close this guide. In addition to copying responses, you can also export information directly to other Google Workspace apps. Let me open the More Options menu again. You'll notice Draft in Gmail, which creates a new email draft with the response content. But I'll select Export to Docs to send the response directly to a Google Doc. A toast notification opens showing that a new document was created. I'll click Open Docs to view it. The document opens in a new tab with the response content ready to edit and share. I'll close this tab to return to Gemini. You should also note that if your response contains a table, you can export that table directly to Google Sheets. I'll scroll up and find the table in my response, and below it you can see the option Export to Sheets. Now you've learned how to manage and refine prompts and responses in Gemini. If you have activity enabled, Gemini saves your conversations for easy access later. In this video, you'll see how to view and manage conversations, find media saved in the My Stuff folder, and access your activity feed. Your past conversations are listed in the left-hand menu of Gemini. I've got Gemini open here. Now to revisit a conversation, simply find it in the list and click on its title. The chat opens and you can continue the conversation or review previous responses. If you're looking for a specific conversation but having trouble finding it in the list, you can search by keyword. Just click on the magnifying glass icon in the top right corner of the menu. On the search page, enter a keyword in the search box. For example, I'll search green. Results matching my search appear below. I can see there are 5 results for this word. Select a result to navigate directly to the chat. You can manage chats by pinning or renaming them. To see options for managing the current chat, click the chat title at the top. From here, I can pin the chat to keep it at the top of my list, or rename it to give it a more descriptive title. Let me pin this chat for easy access. I'll click Pin. The Pin This Chat overlay opens. Here we can review and optionally edit the title before confirming. I'll make a change to the title, then click Pin. I'll scroll up in my list of chats, and here I can see the chat, which I've named Green Homes, is pinned to the top of the list. You can also access options from the chat list. Just mouse over the chat. I'll mouse over the one I just pinned. Click the More Options or 3 dots menu. To remove this chat from my pinned items, I'll select Unpin. For most users, images, videos, and other files created in your chats are saved in the My Stuff section of the menu. I'll scroll up to this section. You can see thumbnails of the most recent images and videos created here. To see more of your saved media, click on My Stuff. This opens the My Stuff page. Here you can click on a thumbnail to go to the corresponding chat. You can also view all files associated with the current chat. If there are files associated with the chat, you'll find this icon in the top right corner, labeled Files in this chat. Click there to open the Files pane. Files created by Gemini will display at the top, and if you've added any files to the chat, those will display in their own section at the bottom. I'll click the X to close this pane. If activity is enabled, not only can you view your chats and files in the menu, but you can also view all of your Gemini activity in a continuous feed. Just click Activity in the left-hand menu. The Gemini Apps Activity page opens in a new tab. At the top, you can see an FAQ about Gemini Apps activity and data handling. Scroll down to find your activity setting, which again is managed by your administrator. In my case, Keep Activity is turned on. And below this, you'll find your activity feed. The activity feed displays all of your interactions with Gemini, with the most recent activity at the top. If you want to see more information about a specific item, you can click on Details at the bottom of that item. This displays, for example, the full prompt and response for that interaction. I'll click the X in the top right corner to close these details, and I'll close this browser tab to return to Gemini. Now you've learned how to view and organize your conversation history in Gemini. Connected apps let Gemini access your information in Gmail, Calendar, Drive, and other services to provide more helpful responses. In this video, you'll learn how to browse available apps, connect Google Workspace to the Gemini app, and use connected apps in your prompts. I've got the Gemini app open in Chrome. Let's start by exploring what connected apps are available. So in the Gemini app, I'll click Settings and Help in the left navigation menu, and then select Apps in the menu that opens. The Connected Apps page shows all the apps you can connect to in Gemini. Note that the Keep Activity setting must be enabled for connections to work. This is usually controlled by admin. On this page, the apps are organized into sections. The From Google section lets you manage connections with Google Workspace apps. These include Gmail, Google Docs, Google Keep, Google Calendar, Google Drive, and Google Tasks. Scrolling down to Other, you will find third-party apps like GitHub, Asana, HubSpot, MailChimp, and Salesforce. Now let's connect the Google Workspace apps. All Workspace apps are enabled together as a single unit. I'll scroll back up to find the Google Workspace card and toggle it on. A prompt opens reminding you that your Google Workspace content is not used to improve Gemini and that you can always turn off Google Workspace from this page. You'll also find a link to learn more about how your content is used. I'll click Connect to confirm. Now that Google Workspace is connected, let's see how to use these apps in your prompts. Each app has a Learn More link that explains what Gemini can do with it. As an example, I'll click Learn More under Google Calendar. The overlay explains what Gemini can do with Google Calendar. That is, it can create, edit, or delete an event, list events for a date range and create repeating events, and capture information from images to create events. It also shows some sample prompts you can try. I'll click one of these sample prompts to start a new chat. Let's try Show Upcoming Events. The prompt is added to a new chat with Google Calendar in an @mention. I'll press Enter to submit the prompt. Gemini pulls information from my Google Calendar to respond. It summarizes upcoming events, and scrolling down, we can see it even shows event cards, which you can click to navigate to the corresponding event in Google Calendar in a new tab. I'll close this tab to return to Gemini. You can also type prompts directly without using sample prompts. Let me try asking about a specific meeting. I'll type, "When is my next meeting with Isabella Roswell?" in the chat box. When I send the prompt, Gemini searches my calendar and responds with the meeting details. Another way to use connected apps is with the @ symbol, which lets you specify exactly which app Gemini should use. When I type @ in the text box, a picker menu opens. At the top, I can choose the model, Fast, Thinking, or Pro, and below that, I can see my connected apps, and scrolling further down, other apps. I'll select Gmail from my connected apps. And I'll ask Gemini to summarize my latest emails. Gemini answers with a concise summary. At the bottom, it cites its sources. I can click Sources to open the Sources pane on the right, showing all of the emails it's referred to. I can even click on a specific email to open it in a new tab in Gmail. But I'll close this tab to return to Gemini and close the Sources pane. And now you've learned how to browse available apps, connect Google Workspace, and use connected apps in your prompts. The Deep Research Agent in the Gemini app compiles comprehensive multi-source reports on complex topics in minutes. You'll learn how to use the Gemini app to create detailed research reports with citations in this tutorial. To demo this feature, I'm starting in a new chat in the Gemini app. I'll open the Tools menu in the chat box. Here you can select different tools and agents like Deep Research and Guided Learning. For this tutorial, I'll choose Deep Research. Now I'll enter a research topic. Analyze zebra sky's position in the home automation industry. Notice the Sources and Files options at the bottom of the text box. These let you customize which sources Gemini can or can't use, as well as upload specific files for context. Clicking on Sources, we can use the checkboxes to choose any combination of Google Search, Gmail, Drive, and Chat. Search is selected by default. I'll go ahead and enable these other options as well, then click outside of the menu to close it. Now I'll click Submit to start the research. Before creating the report, Gemini generates a research plan showing the steps it will take. First, it will research sources, and we can see exactly what strategy it will take when researching the sources. For example, it will start by performing a Google search to identify zebra sky's current market share, reputation, and so on, and then search for recent industry reports or news regarding home automation trends for 2026. And you can click on More to see additional steps. Scrolling down further, we can see that it will then analyze the results and finally create the report, which will be ready in a few minutes. If you want to modify the plan, you can click Edit Plan and then request any changes in the chat before Gemini begins the report. When you're ready, you can click Start Research to begin. But note that this process takes several minutes to complete. So instead, I'm going to expand the left-hand menu, and I'll navigate to an existing chat called Completed Report. And here you'll find a report I've already generated using Deep Research. Note that the chat is on the left side of the page where we can ask follow-up questions or request changes, while the completed report appears in a panel on the right. Scrolling down, you'll find that it includes organized sections with headers, as well as elements like tables. Deep Research cites its sources. We can click on the caret below a paragraph to expand the sources cited for that section. We've got numbered citations, as well as cards that you can click on to go to the corresponding source. These may include websites and files. If I scroll down to the bottom of the report, we can find additional sections. These include sources used in the report. This section has already been expanded. And here I can see a list of all sources. I'll click this section title to collapse it. You'll also find sources read but not used in the report, and thoughts. Click on a section title to expand it. I'll expand thoughts. And here we can see Gemini's reasoning process as it conducted the research. You'll find a few helpful options in the title bar of the report. Click on Contents to display the table of contents for the report, which we can use to navigate to the different sections. Scroll down and choose the section you want to see. To see options for sharing, click on Share and Export. This gives me options to share the report directly with others, which may be unavailable depending on your account type and settings. You can export it to Google Docs or copy the contents to the clipboard. I'll click Outside to close this menu. Finally, I can click the Create dropdown, and here you can choose from different options to transform your report into other formats using the Canvas agent and other tools. Options may include generating a web page using Canvas, creating an infographic, building a quiz or flashcards for studying. And for my report, I can see the option to create an audio overview. I'll click away to close this menu, and I'll click the X to close the report. If you ever need to reopen it, you can find the report in the chat and click on Open. Or you can find it in the Files pane by clicking Files in this chat near the top right, and under Created, choosing the report name. Now you've learned how to use Deep Research to create a comprehensive report in the Gemini app. The Canvas agent in the Gemini app lets you create working apps and interactive tools from simple text descriptions, no coding experience required. In this tutorial, you'll see how to use the Canvas agent to build your own app. To get started in the Gemini app for Workspace, open the Tools drop-down in the text box to see the available agents. In the list, choose Canvas. With Canvas now added to the text box, describe what you want to build. For example, I'll ask Gemini to create a status tracker for construction projects. Gemini begins building the app, and when complete, your app appears in a panel on the right side of the screen. In the chat area on the left, we can scroll down to see that Gemini provides a description of what it built, along with key features of the app, and it even asks some follow-up questions to see if we want to make refinements. This app preview on the right is fully interactive. You can click buttons, enter data, and test all the functionality of the app. For example, I'll click on New Project. This opens the Launch New Project form in my app. I'll click on Discard to close this form. The App Panel toolbar at the top includes buttons to toggle between different views of your app, that is Code and Preview. Choose Code to see the generated source code that powers your app. If you work with developers, this can be useful for sharing or extending the app. And we can click on Preview to return to the interactive app view. If you need to share the code with others, click the Share button, and you can select Copy Contents if you want to copy the code to your clipboard. You'll also find a few more useful tools in this toolbar. You can check the Save status of your app. I can see that changes have saved automatically. If you've made adjustments, you can use Undo and Redo to manage those changes. You've got the option to show the console to display errors and logs to help identify issues. And you can choose Refresh if you need to reload the app preview. If there are any changes to be made, you can continue refining your app by chatting with Gemini. Let's take a look at its follow-up question. It's asked if I'd like to add cloud storage to save my project data across sessions, or implement a multi-user team view to share live status updates with my crew. In the chat box, I'll say, Add a team view. I'll click Enter to send. Gemini begins making refinements. When it's finished, the updates are reflected in the preview on the right. The preview panel also includes a floating toolbar with special buttons to enhance your creation. You can click on Add Gemini Features, the sparkle icon, to enhance your app with AI capabilities like task generation or risk analysis. In the chat, I can see the features that Gemini is adding. These include AI Site Safety Briefing and a Smart Phase Planner. Another useful tool is Select and Ask. Choosing this option lets you draw a selection box around any element in your app and ask questions about it. Click inside the text box that appears and type a question like, "What does this do?" Then press Enter. In the chat, Gemini explains the selected element. At any time, you can click the X in the top right corner to close the app panel. If you need to reopen the app, you can click the app name in the chat, or you can click Files in this chat in the top right corner, and in the Files pane that opens, under Created, click on the name of the app. Now you've learned how to use the Canvas agent in the Gemini Web App to build interactive apps. In the Gemini app for Workspace, you can generate custom visuals from text descriptions without needing any design software. In this video, you'll see how to create and edit images with Nano Banana and generate short video using Veo in the Gemini app. Let's get started by generating an image. I've got the Gemini app open. Gemini uses the Nano Banana model for image generation. To select this model, first I'll click the Tools selector in the chat box. Then select Create Images. One quick tip, the specific version of Nano Banana that you use depends on which Gemini model you've selected. So to use the current most powerful model, Nano Banana Pro, you'll need to open the Model Selector and select Thinking. To test it out, I'll submit a descriptive prompt. Create a photo of a modern smart home living room. Once it's finished thinking, Gemini responds with an image matching the description. I'll hover over the thumbnail. In the top right corner, you'll find options to copy it and download the image full size. I'm going to select Copy Image so that I can use it later. We can click on the thumbnail to view the image in full size. Note the AI sparkle watermark in the bottom right. This lets viewers know that it's an AI-generated image. I'll click outside the image to exit the full-size view. In addition to creating images from scratch, Nano Banana can also help you edit existing images. You can add or change the background or other parts of a picture, and using doodles, you can even draw or type in elements that you want to add directly to the picture. I'll upload an image from my Google Drive, so first I'll click the Add Files button in the chat box. Then I'll select Add from Drive. In the Recents tab of the File Picker, I'll select the image I'd like to use, my headshot, then click Insert. The image thumbnail gets attached to the text box. If you want to add doodles, just click the image thumbnail to open up the image in a larger size. You'll find a toolbar where you can choose a color, and another where you can switch between drawing and text tools. With the drawing tool selected, I'm going to select the blue color, and I'll use my mouse to draw a baseball cap on top of this headshot. Now I'll choose the text tool. I'll pick the green color this time, and I'll click to place my cursor somewhere in this baseball cap and type in my company's name, Zebra Sky. In the top right, you can manage changes using the undo and redo buttons. To submit the edited image, click Done. Now I'll activate my cursor inside the text box and type in a prompt. Let's say, add a hat to this headshot as in the doodle. I'll press Enter to submit it. Now that Gemini's finished thinking, I'll scroll down to see its response. It's responded with the edited result. It's added a blue hat to the photo with zebra sky in green. However, this text doesn't appear like it's actually part of the cap, so let's add a follow-up. Make the text appear as part of the cap. After thinking, Gemini edits the image, and it makes this text appear as though it's embroidered here on the cap. Image creation doesn't stop at still pictures. Gemini can also use the VO model to generate short video clips from text or even animate still photos. So I'm going to click New Chat in the left-hand menu to start a fresh conversation. I'll clear the text in this chat box, open the Tools selector, and this time select Create Videos VO 3.1. I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste in the image that I copied earlier to my clipboard. And now I'll ask Gemini to animate it. This process usually takes a few minutes. So instead, I'm going to find an earlier conversation where Gemini animated a still image. I'll click the corresponding thumbnail under My Stuff in the left-hand menu. Let's scroll down to view the result. The video appears inline in the conversation, and I can play it here by clicking on the image, and click again to pause it. Mousing over the image, we can also toggle the audio button to mute or unmute the video's sound. And if I'm happy with the result, I can download the video using the button in the top right corner. Now the image has been downloaded. And now you've seen how to generate and edit images and videos using Gemini's AI tools. In the Gemini app, scheduled actions automate recurring tasks like daily summaries or weekly updates. In this video, you'll learn how to create a scheduled action, set timing and frequency, and manage your active automations. To create a scheduled action, simply submit a prompt that includes when and how often you want the task to run. Gemini will deliver the results in a chat at the specified time. For most scheduled actions, you're going to want to make sure that connected apps, especially Google Workspace, are enabled. I've got a new chat open here in the Gemini app, and in the text box, I'm going to ask Gemini to summarize my calendar events every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Gemini recognizes this as a scheduling request and confirms the action. I'll scroll down to see the card that it shows here. which includes the schedule details. Here we can see when it occurs, 8 a.m. on weekdays, the name of the scheduled action, summarize my calendar events for today, and the instructions, summarize my calendar events for today. From here, you can click on the pencil icon if you want to edit the action, or use the toggle to enable or disable it. But first, let's look at how to manage all your scheduled actions in one place. In the left menu, I'll select Settings and Help. Then choose Scheduled Actions. The Scheduled Actions Manager opens. To edit an action, click the Edit button, or pencil icon. This opens the Scheduled Action dialog. Here you can review and optionally edit the name, instructions, and schedule for the automation. I'll make a quick change to the instructions, that is, the prompt used for the scheduled action. The instructions read, summarize my calendar events for today. Let's change this to, summarize my calendar events for the week. To adjust the schedule, we can use drop-downs to choose the occurrence type, daily, weekly, or monthly. I'll keep this to weekly. Choose the days for the automation to run. This is for weekly or monthly occurrences. So here I'm going to deselect all of the weekdays except for Monday, so it only runs on one day, Monday every week. And finally, we can choose the time for it to run. Let's set this to 8:30 a.m. Note the message that your prompt will run within an hour of the selected time. I'll click Save to apply my changes. The dialog closes and the action is updated. If you want to pause an automation's run without deleting it, you can just click on the toggle button to switch it off. Click there again if you want to switch it back on again. To delete an automation, click the pencil icon again, and in the Scheduled Action dialog, select Delete. In the prompt that opens, click Delete again to confirm. I'll click the Gemini logo in the top left to return to the chat screen. Now you've seen how to create and manage scheduled actions in the Gemini app.
Google Workspace has an AI-powered assistant called Gemini that works across a variety of Google applications. In this tutorial, you will see how to use the Gemini Web App to ask questions, brainstorm ideas, configure responses, and upload images. To access the Gemini Web App, you first must have a Google account, which I'm already signed into. You need to use a supported browser such as Chrome, Safari, or Firefox. And I'm currently using Chrome. To go to the Gemini Web App page, I'll type in gemini.google.com into the address bar and press Enter. In the Gemini Web App page, there's a panel on the left where you can create a new chat, find recent chats, and access the Gemini activity and settings. In the center of the page are 4 prompts we could use to ask Gemini. Or we could type in our own prompt into the field below. We can also upload images or use the microphone to ask a question. Note that if you're using Gemini Advanced, you can also upload images. I'll type in a prompt and then click the Submit button that appears on the right. As Gemini is now generating a response, a button to stop the response appears on the right. Gemini's response to my prompt now appears above, with options to show drafts and listen to the response. If we scroll down, below the response are options to rate it good or bad. There's a Modify Response menu, Share and Export, Double-check response, and a More menu, with options to copy and report a legal issue. Let's click the Double-check response button. Gemini is now searching its response online. Your response may then be highlighted in either green or orange. Below the response, click on Understand the results to display the color coding information. So here, it says that green means Google search found content that is similar to the statement. Orange means that Google search found content that's different from the statement or didn't find relevant content. And non-highlighted text represents non-factual or text with not enough information to evaluate it. So if we click on some green highlighted text, a web result displays that has similar content to the one in the response. I'll scroll up. There are a number of ways we can configure the response that Gemini is giving us. At the top right of the response, click on Show Drafts to display 3 other response options. To the right of these options, we can click Regenerate Drafts to create a new response, and in the Show Drafts menu, 3 new draft options. Let's open the Modify Response menu, which has options to make it shorter, longer, simpler, more casual, or more professional. Let's select Shorter. The response refreshes and is now shorter. We can also edit the prompt we use to generate this response. Hover over the prompt above the response and click Edit Text. We can then edit the prompt text and click Update. Gemini is now creating a new response based on the updated prompt. We can also ask Gemini questions about images. In the right of the prompt field, click Upload Image. In the File Explorer window, navigate to a folder, select the image you want to upload, and click Open at the bottom right. The image I selected of my company's logo now appears in the prompt field. Note that you can only upload one image at a time, and if you want to remove this image, you can hover over it and click the X icon. I'll insert a prompt about the image, so I'll ask Gemini to write a short description about this image, and then press Enter. Gemini has now given a response describing in detail the image I just uploaded. Now you've seen how to use the Gemini Web App to ask general questions. With the Gemini Web App, you can easily export and share chat responses to Google Workspace apps like Docs, Gmail, and Sheets. Let's first ask Gemini a question. So I'll type in a prompt and press Enter. Above, Gemini has given us a response. Below the prompt, you'll find the Share and Export menu. Clicking this gives us the option to export to Google Docs or to use it to draft an email in Gmail. Let's select Export to Docs. A notification appears at the bottom left stating that a new document has been created. There's also an Open Docs link, which if we click on, will open a browser tab on a new Docs document containing Gemini's response. From here, we can then edit and format the response, and then share it with others to collaborate on it. I'll close the Docs browser tab. Let's reopen the Share and Export menu, and this time select Draft in Gmail. Again, at the bottom left is a new email created notification, along with an open Gmail link. Clicking this opens a Gmail browser tab, where a new message has been drafted. The message's subject line has been automatically filled in with the prompt I used, and the main body contains Gemini's response. I'll again close this browser tab. As mentioned earlier, we can also export Gemini's response to Google Sheets, but the response needs to be in a table format. So I'll ask Gemini to turn the above list into a table and press Enter. Gemini has converted the information into a table, and at the bottom right of it is an Export to Sheets option. Click this to create a new spreadsheet. Click the Open Sheets link at the bottom left to open a new browser tab with the new spreadsheet and the table. I'll close this tab. Along the left side of the interface is a side panel. To hide this, click the Collapse menu button at the top left of it. To show the panel again, click the Expand menu button. At the top of this panel is the option to start a new chat and to access recent chats. If we click New Chat, the previous responses are removed from the chat area, but the chat is still listed in the recent chat list. You can click on a recent chat to reopen it in the main interface, and then continue the conversation. So I'll ask Gemini if it can make the definitions in the above list longer, and press enter. Gemini has answered and has created a longer list of definitions. You can manage your recent chats by clicking their More Options button. In this menu, you can pin or rename the chat. Let's select pin. And a Pin This Chat menu appears where we can add an emoji and rename the chat. So let's open the emoji menu and select one. I'll also rename the chat to Solar Energy. Click Pin at the bottom right, and the chat is now pinned at the top of the recent list. From the side panel, we can also configure the Gemini settings. At the bottom, clicking on Help will give you the option to access help using Gemini and an FAQ page. Next, clicking Activity will open the Google My Activity page, where you can view your Gemini app activity from the past 72 hours. And based on your account type, you can also turn off the Gemini app's activity. I'll close this tab. And finally, if we click Settings, we have options to access extensions and turn on Dark Theme. Clicking Dark Theme will turn the interface black and the text white. Click on Dark Theme again to turn this off. So now you've seen how to manage chats in the Gemini Web App. Gemini makes it easy to stay on top of your email messages in Gmail. You can use Gemini's artificial intelligence to suggest replies, write drafts from a prompt, refine drafts, and summarize email threads. To access Gemini in Gmail, click the Ask Gemini button at the top right. Gemini can be used to search Gmail for specific emails, suggest reply options, find information from your Google Drive files, and even ask questions from the web. At the top of the Gemini pane are two prompts we could use, such as Show Unread Emails or Get Order Details. Instead, I'll click inside the prompt field at the bottom. Type in a prompt such as Summarize my last email from Emma Martin, and press enter to submit it. Gemini has now summarized the last email from Emma. Below, click on Sources, where you can then click a message link to open the email that Gemini used. Below Sources is also the option to insert the answer into a message draft, copy it, retry with Google Search, and rate it as a good or bad suggestion. Prompt suggestions also appear above the prompt area based on Gemini's response. Let's continue this chat by now asking Gemini to suggest a reply to Emma. Press enter. And now Gemini is generating a draft email response to Emma. Once generated, we can then click the Insert button, which creates a draft reply to Emma with the answer added to the main message field. In this way, you can quickly respond to emails using Gemini. Say you'd like to quickly reference a file in an email. We can use Gemini to find information from Google Drive files. Into the prompt area, I'll type in Summarize. Then insert the @ symbol to open the search menu. We can then start typing the document's name and select it from the menu. Press enter to submit. And Gemini has created a summary of the reference file. If we expand Sources, we have a link to the reference Zebra Sky file, which we can click on to open. To manage the Gemini pane, click More Options at the top right to clear the chat history, access more suggestions, or send feedback. Let's select Clear History. A notification appears stating that Gemini history will be cleared and you won't be able to get it back. To continue, click Clear. And I'll also close the Gemini pane by clicking the X icon at the top right. There's also another way we can use Gemini to draft an email. Click the Compose button at the top left. In the toolbar at the bottom of the email draft, you'll find the Help Me Write button. Clicking this will display a prompt field where we can type in a prompt for a new email. Then click Create on the right. In the main email body, Gemini now displays a draft based on our prompt. Below the prompt, we can rate the suggestion or send feedback. At the bottom of the prompt window, we can also recreate the suggested draft, refine it, or insert it. I'll open the Refine menu, which allows us to formalize the draft, elaborate on it, or shorten it. I'll select Shorten. Gemini then creates a shorter draft of the response. If you're happy with the draft, click Insert at the bottom right. I can now edit the draft. For example, I'll write my name where the Your Name placeholder is. I'll also add a recipient to the recipient field and a subject to the subject line. Then click Send at the bottom left to send the email. And in this way, you can quickly and easily draft emails using Gemini in Gmail. With Gemini in Google Docs, it's easy to write, refine, and proofread your documents. When you open a new document in Google Docs, you'll find the Help Me Write option at the top and along the right-hand margin. Select Help Me Write to display the Help Me Write text field, where we can insert a prompt, such as create an announcement for a new green energy service. Then click the Create button. AI is now being used to draft an announcement based on my prompt. If you're not happy with the draft, at the top you can edit your original prompt to create a more specific draft. Below we can also rate it a good or bad suggestion. We can open the Refine menu with options to change its tone, summarize, bulletize, elaborate, shorten, retry, or customize it by, for example, making it into a poem. I'll select Shorten. A shorter draft now displays. Once you're happy with the draft, click Insert at the bottom right. Another way to use AI in Google Docs is by clicking the Ask Gemini button at the top right. In the pane are a few suggested prompts, such as brainstorming or creating an outline. You can use Gemini to create a draft the same way as the Help Me Write tool. But we can also use Gemini to reference other Drive files or emails. Click inside the prompt field at the bottom, and I'll type in a prompt. To then reference a Drive file, insert the @ symbol to open the search menu. You can then start typing the file name and select it from the menu above. Then press Enter to submit the prompt. Gemini has now produced a summary of the Homotic company based on the referenced file. Below the answer, if we click on Sources, we'll get a link to the newsletter Homotic document that was summarized. At the bottom left, we can insert the answer, copy it, retry, preview, or retry with Google Search. We can also rate it as a good or bad suggestion. Clicking Preview will show what the answer looks like in the document. And if you're happy with it, we can click Insert at the bottom right of the preview. We can also use Gemini to create an image. So I'll ask Gemini to create an image of windmills in a field, then press Enter. Two image options then appear. Click on one to preview it. We can click the arrow on the right to browse through the options. And if we'd like to add an option to the document, click Insert at the bottom left. To remove your chat history from the Gemini pane, click the More Options button at the top right, where we can clear the history, get more suggestions, or send feedback. I'll select Clear History. A notification appears stating that once you clear the history, you can't get it back. To continue, click Clear. Another AI tool in Google Docs is the Proofread tool. Proofread uses AI to provide spelling, grammar, conciseness, and tone suggestions to help improve your document. I'll open my other Google window where I have another Google Docs file open. To access Proofread, click the Proofread this document button on the right-hand side of the toolbar. In the Proofread side pane on the right, you'll get suggestions for corrections. To filter these suggestions, open the Filter Suggestion menu at the top and click on the suggestions you don't want reviewed, such as conciseness, and that's removed as a suggestion from below. In a suggestion, you'll get the reasoning, such as spelling, and the suggested replacement, which you can accept or dismiss. I'll accept it, and that's changed in my document. We can also stop certain suggestions from appearing by opening the Proofread settings at the top right. In the menu, uncheck a suggestions box and click OK at the bottom right. Note that this change is applied to all documents. So now you've seen how to write with Gemini in Google Docs. Make your presentations visually appealing by creating images in Google Slides using Gemini's artificial intelligence. You can use Gemini's AI in Google Slides to quickly create a professional presentation by generating new slides, writing content, referencing other Drive files, and creating images based on slide content. To open the Gemini side panel, click the Ask Gemini button at the top right. In the side pane, you can use one of the listed suggested prompts, or type your own prompt into the prompt field below. Under the listed suggestions, click More Suggestions to view creating and writing type suggestions. Under the Create category, I'll select the Create a slide to pitch an idea prompt, which is then inserted into the prompt field below. We can use this prompt or edit it to get a different response. I'll edit this prompt, so I'll delete the placeholder text and type about the benefits of building an eco-friendly home, and press Enter. A preview of the slide appears to the left with text and an image. Below the preview, we can choose to close the preview, retry for another option, insert it, view its sources, like or dislike it. I'm happy with this option, so I'll click Insert. Once it's been added to the presentation, you can then edit its text or image. For example, I'll click inside the text box and make a change. We can also use Gemini to reference my other Drive files. Into the prompt field, I'll ask Gemini to create a new slide summarizing. Then insert the @ symbol to open the search menu. Type in the file name and select it from the menu above. Press Enter to submit. Gemini has created a new slide summarizing my Google document. I'll click Insert to add it to the presentation. We can also use AI to create images. Let's go to the first slide and replace the image here. Right-click on the image, hover over Replace Image, and select Create Image with Gemini. Note that you can also find this option in the right of the toolbar. A Create an Image side pane opens on the right. At the top is a text box where you can describe your image idea. For example, I'll ask to create an image of construction workers building an eco-friendly home. A style menu appears below. Click this, and you can choose an art style to apply to your image, such as photography, background, or vector art. I'll select photography. Then click Create. The image is now being created, which may take up to 20 seconds. The image then appears below. If you're happy with the image presented, click on it to insert it into the slide. I'll close the side pane using the X icon at the top right. Using AI, you can also remove an image's background. This is useful if you want to focus on specific parts of the image or make the image fit better into the slide. Select an image. At the top left, open the Format menu. Hover over Image and select Remove Background. The image's background has successfully been removed using AI. Note you can also access this option via the right-click menu. So now you've seen how to generate slides and images with Gemini in Google Slides. Gemini in Google Sheets provides a Help Me Organize feature to create tables and formulas using artificial intelligence. Explore how to use the prompt to create a table to track tasks and create formulas to analyze a table's data. Finally, discover how to reference emails and Drive files using Gemini. When you first open a new Sheets file, a Tables pane appears on the right, where you've a number of different pre-formatted tables. Hovering over each option shows a preview of it in the sheet. To create your own table using Gemini, click Help Me Create a Table at the top. This opens the Gemini side pane. We can use one of the suggestions or insert our own prompt. I'll select a prompt suggestion, which is added to the prompt field, and then click Enter to submit. A preview of the generated table appears in the sheet, and below the preview is the option to close, insert it, like or dislike it. Below the preview in the side pane are also options to insert, copy, retry with Google Search, like or dislike it. I'll select Insert to add it to the sheet. Once added, we can then edit the table's information. For example, in one of the assignee rows, I'll change it to another person's name. I'll close the Gemini side pane. The Help Me Organize feature is another way you can use AI to create tables. Click Help Me Organize in the left of the toolbar, or you can also find it in the Insert menu. In the Help Me Organize side pane, we can insert a prompt to use AI to create a custom template. Then click the Create button. The table preview appears in the sheet. Below, I'll click Insert to add it. A notification appears stating that inserting it here will overwrite the current data. We have the option to overwrite the data or add it to a new sheet. I'll select Add to New Sheet. A new sheet opens with our custom table template. I'll select a different cell and reopen the Ask Gemini pane. We can also use Gemini to create formulas. I'll insert a formula prompt and press Enter. A formula based on the table now appears. I'll click Insert to add it. So the formula has shown that 5 tasks have a to-do status. If we open one of the status menus and change it from to-do to in progress, note that the formula result now updates to 4. I'll click on another cell. You can use Gemini to summarize your Drive files and Gmail emails. For example, I'll ask Gemini to create a table about my email meetings and press Enter. Below the preview in the pane, I'll click on Sources to view which emails were used as a reference. You can click on an email link to open it in another browser tab. I'm happy with this table template, so I'll click Insert. And in the notification, I'll select to overwrite the data. To clear the Gemini chat history, click More Options at the top right, which has options to clear the history, get more suggestions, or send feedback. Select Clear History. And in the notification, confirm by selecting Clear. And I'll close the side pane using the X icon at the top right. So now you've seen how to organize data with Gemini in Google Sheets. In this video, you will see how to enable Gemini Studio Look and noise cancellation features to enhance your video and audio quality. To help improve your video quality, the Studio Look feature uses AI to fix any low lighting or low quality camera issues. I'm currently in the Google Meet meeting green room. At the bottom right of the video preview, you'll find the Apply Visual Effects button. Click this to open the Effects menu, where on the left we can apply backgrounds, filters, or adjust the appearance. I'll go to the Appearance tab. Here, click on an Options toggle to activate it, and then see its effect in my camera preview on the left. So let's activate Adjust Video Lighting, which makes it easier to see you against a bright background. Next, let's activate Studio Look, which sharpens your features so that people can see you better. Portrait Touch-Up, which lightly touches up your appearance. A Portrait Touch-Up menu then appears. Open this, where we can change this to Subtle or Smooth. Let's select Smooth. Then we can activate Framing, which puts me in the center of the screen. At the very bottom, we've a list of styles. We've the grayscale, cloudy day, sunlight, or moonlight style. Let's apply daylight. And that makes my video preview brighter. If you'd like to change your background, you can also use AI in Google Meets to generate a custom background image. Go to the Backgrounds tab. Here we've the option to generate a background, apply a blurring effect, or apply our own personal background image. We could also select one of the images in the background gallery. Let's select Generate a Background. In the Generate a Background menu, we can insert a prompt into the text field. So I'll type in coffee shop. Then below we can open the Style menu and choose a style. I'll select Fantasy. Click Create Samples to generate an image. 4 image options then appear below. We can click on an image to see it applied to our video preview. We also have the option to like or dislike the suggestion. Once you're happy with an image background, click the back arrow button at the top left. And the chosen image will now be in the Generative Background list. Close this menu using the X icon at the top right. Back in the meeting room, we can also adjust our audio using the Studio Sound feature. The Studio Sound feature uses AI to reduce background noises and improve poor quality audio by creating higher audio frequencies. To activate this, click More Options at the top right of the preview, and in the menu select Settings. In the Audio tab, activate the Noise Cancellation option. Once done, click the X icon at the top right to close the window. With the audio and video quality improved, let's join the meeting. Click the Join Now button on the right. With AI, you can use translated captions to translate to and from specific languages. In the toolbar at the bottom, open the More Options menu and select Settings. Then navigate to the Captions tab on the left. Here, let's activate the Captions option by clicking its toggle. Below, I'll leave the language of the meeting set to English. Then turn on the Translated Captions option. Open the Translate To menu, and let's, for example, select French. We can then close this menu using the X icon at the top right. And now when I talk, French captions appear at the bottom of the video, translating everything I say. This is useful if a meeting is in a language you're not fluent in. To turn off the captions, click the Turn Off Captions button in the toolbar. So now you've seen how to improve your video and audio quality with Gemini in Google Meet.